strong.
Hello everyone, this is David on Babylon 5 Movies The Lost Tales. 72 minutes long. We start off in 2280. B5 is being destroyed. Part of the normal situation. An intro by Jakar, who sadly, Andreas Katsoulis, I believe, passed away just before this was made. Either before or the same year. The year's 2271. Colonel Elizabeth Lockley is celebrating 9 years on Babylon 5 and 10 years celebration of the Interstellar Alliance. Colonel Lockley debates with a priest on religion. It's always a good hobby. I went to a private Christian university to get my nurse's degree, but it being a private university required religion as part of its curriculum. And I spent a couple years studying mostly the New Testament. And unlike these, I call them the door-to-door preachers who always show up and try and proselytize. That's what they call it, proselytizing, when people try and get you to convert to a particular religion or way of life. Well, it's always interesting when they used to come to my house, because when I had my old apartment in Portland, I had a nice big bookshelf that I had right next to the door, and I would keep my Bible pre-marked with certain spots whenever they come to proselytize me, and I would give it right back to them. Trust me, I debated against people who've had PhDs in this subject. So, when you're required to study it every single day for several years, you get to know your way around the Bible a little bit. We zip on in, and a maintenance worker named Simon Burke ends up being possessed. And she's called in Father Cassidy to perform an exorcism. And Father Cassidy did what most priests would do. The first thing he asks is, has he been seen by a psychiatrist? Because the vast majority of these possessions are nothing more than psychiatric illness. And I did research this once quite a few years ago. Catholic priests are generally the experts on exorcism. In fact, the exorcism that took place at Poltergeist, the family was evangelical Lutheran, like I am, and they were asked to convert to Catholicism because the priest would only see Catholics, and that did the exorcism. And at first they went to their local Lutheran priest. He did a generic blessing. Nothing changed. Then he said, basically, if you really want, for the hardcore cases, the Catholics take care of that. Now, J. Michael Straczynski was born and raised a Catholic. So, there you have it. He asks if he has another name, and it's Asmodeus, which is Prince of Demons. Suddenly, B5 and his cell are covered in flames. And basically asking, you got to exorcise me. Basically, he's got to unbind him from a human body so he can go out into space, is what you find out for. We learn that from the priest, what is faith for? To believe in everything that reason tells you is impossible. For instance, I had a patient who was in a coma for, about 3 months. And I walked in on Christmas Day at about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning to double check and see how she was doing. And I turned on the lights, and here she is, just bright-eyed and clear as a bell. Could you turn that damn light off, nurse? It's awfully bright in here. Of course, I just about shed a brick sideways and, got the doctor called in there and the family and, talked about been in a coma for over 3 months, and she wakes up on Christmas Day of all days, clear as a bell, nothing seemed to have been wrong with her the entire time. Except she did have about a 3-month gap because she kept telling me it was September. And I said, no, hon, you've been in a coma since September. She goes, are you sure? I said, hon, look at the Christmas decorations on your window. We don't put those up there in the middle of September. She goes, oh, that's a good point. But at any rate, goes to the question, what is the role of religion in a modern society, especially one that goes out among the stars? And you can prove that there are no angels out there. He says not even a leftover seraphim from the evacuation. He quotes Amos 3:6, shall a trumpet be blown in the city and people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city and the Lord has not done it? That's kind of an interesting thing. Basically, would God use evil to advance a greater good? If he could get that evil demon out of Mr. Burke, people would start believing again and start flocking back to the church. We learn a little bit later on that Earth appears to be a jail for demons in the galaxy. And these demons are meant to be here until we leave for the stars. And then Earth will eventually be destroyed and the demons will be wiped out for eternity. That goes a lot into, it coincides with the Scientology belief about how Earth came to be. So I don't know, Scientology does have a lot of influence in Hollywood, so I'm wondering if they had some influence on this or not. If J. Michael Straczynski kind of studied it and thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, I'll make something along that line. We zip on over, and Minbar, 10-year anniversary of the Interstellar Alliance, ISN reporter interviews President Sheridan. Londo will not be able to attend, but they send a Prince Ventari in his place. Jakar is out exploring, and Dr. Franklin will not be able to attend either. Unfortunately, the actors who played them, both Richard Biggs and Katras Satoulis, had passed away by this point in time. So, we learned that there is a quantum space from the Vorlons, and they figured out how to use quantum space. It's 2 to 3 times faster than hyperspace and extremely disorienting. All of a sudden, Galen the Technomage shows up and shows President Sheridan a destroyed New York City. In 20 years, Prince Ventari, that they're supposed to pick up, will ascend to the throne of the Centauri. And in 30 years, he will destroy the Earth Alliance. Uh-oh. So, they want President Sheridan to ride 2B5 in a Star Fury, and they want Prince Ventari to get another Star Fury, and they will arrange for an accident to happen. And so Galen and Sheridan have that important debate. If you had the choice, would you have gotten rid of Hitler or Genghis Khan or something like that in their early childhood before they could have done the horrific damage that they did? And maybe bring back the millions of lives that they cost? And I kind of got into a friendly discussion with one of my Jewish patients about, he said, would you have killed Hitler if you would have had the chance? And I said, before 1932, I probably would have. I said, but the problem is, by the time he was in power in 32, he had surrounded himself with nut jobs who were just as fanatical, if not more so, on the Jewish question than him. And so by getting rid of Hitler, would the Jews have been safer under a Hess or, a Himmler or somebody like that? I don't think so. So I'm not sure. And would you have then stopped the creation of the State of Israel? Here's a nice sticky situation for you. At any rate, President Sheridan invites Prince Ventari to live with him, Delenn and David Sheridan, to kind of show him how the other half lives, as happened with, and trusting that through his positive influence, Prince Ventari will be spared having to be killed off by Galen and his technomages. So, and that's kind of where we leave it. So maybe some follow-up episodes might have been planned, but it looks like they weren't picked up for probably ratings reasons or what have you. But at any rate, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I have one final movie, as I probably will not be doing the Crusade series unless I get really bored between now and the release of the new Babylon 5 series. But we've got one final release, and then I will do some calculations. I've been keeping track in my notebooks of, exactly how long everything's gone on, this, that, and the other thing, and I'll have some final comments for you a little bit later. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and thanks for your time.